I had just moved into my new home after months of renovation. Everything finally looked perfect. Fresh paint, new flooring, and a sense of peace. I hadn't felt in a long time, but peace doesn't last long when someone like Karen lives next door. She was the type of neighbor who believed she ran the entire neighborhood, always watching, always interfering with other people's business. I had heard from a few neighbors that she was difficult, but I didn't know how bad it could get until that Saturday morning. It was a calm morning with the sound of birds and the distant hum of lawnmowers. I was outside changing my old door locks, the old ones jammed half the time, and honestly, I didn't feel safe with them anymore, so I bought new smart locks and started installing them. I had barely taken out my tools when, allo, I heard the sharp sound of flip-flops hitting the pavement, followed by a loud voice. "Excuse me, what exactly do you think you're doing?" I turned around, and there she was, mid-50s, oversized sunglasses, holding her phone like it was a weapon. She looked at me as if I was vandalizing the house. I smiled politely and said, "Just changing my door locks, ma'am." She frowned as if I had said something outrageous. "You can't just do that. This is a managed community. You need HOA approval before you make structural modifications." I blinked. "It's just a lock on my door." She crossed her arms. "It's visible from the street. It needs to match the neighborhood aesthetic." I stared at her for a moment, wondering if she was serious. "It's a silver lock, not exactly an eyesore." "Ma'am, it's for safety." She took a step closer, lowering her sunglasses. "I'm the acting president of the HOA, and I run this neighborhood." Couldn't help but laugh. "You run the neighborhood?" "Yes," she said confidently. "Everyone knows. I'm in charge. You need to fill out a request form before any exterior change." I tried to keep my cool and said, politely, "I'll look into it," then turned back to work, but she didn't leave. She stood there filming me, muttering about HOA violations. After a minute, she raised her voice. "You're breaking the rules. Stop now or I'll call the police." I looked at her in disbelief. "You're going to call 911? Because I'm changing my own locks?" "Yes." She said, "Because you're damaging property." I sighed. "This is my property." She jabbed a finger toward the door. "Not if you're violating regulations. I have the right to report you." I shrugged. "Do what you need to do." I thought she was bluffing, but 5 minutes later I heard the sirens flashing. Red and blue lights turned the corner. 2 officers stepped out, one older, calm, and the other younger, looking serious. "Sir," one of them said, "we got a call about property damage." I laughed. "You mean me changing locks?" Karen came over, pointing. "That's him, officer. He's damaging the property and being aggressive." The officer looked at her. "Ma'am, is this your property?" "No, but I represent the HOA. I'm in charge." Here the officer looked at me. "Sir, can you show proof of ownership?" I went inside, grabbed my ID and the house deed. He checked them and handed them back. "Everything checks out, ma'am. He's the legal homeowner." Karen's face turned red, but he didn't get approval for the locks, she shouted. The younger cop looked confused. "Approval for locks? Yes, it affects property values, ma'am. This isn't a police issue," the officer said firmly. "Please don't call 911 for non-emergencies." She stood frozen, her face burning as the officers left. I thought that was the end, but the next day I found a notice taped to my door. It said I had 7 days to remove the unapproved lock or face a fine. I almost laughed. She really couldn't let it go, so I decided to go to the next HOA meeting. When I arrived, Karen was sitting at the front like a queen, surrounded by board members. I introduced myself and said, "I believe there's been confusion about my door lock." Karen immediately interrupted. "There's no confusion. You violated HOA policy." I smiled. "Actually, I read the bylaws. There's nothing about locks or exterior hardware needing approval." A few neighbors looked surprised. One whispered, "Is that true?" I showed them a printed copy of the HOA rules. The chairperson took a look and nodded. "He's right, Karen. There's nothing written here." Karen's voice cracked, but it's implied it affects the look of the neighborhood. The chairperson sighed. "We can't find someone for something that isn't in writing." Her face turned pale. She tried to argue, but the board wasn't on her side anymore. Over the next few weeks, I started hearing stories from other residents. Apparently, Karen had been abusing her power for years, making up rules and threatening fines. People were tired of her. Eventually, the board voted her out as president, and she tried to fight it, but there were too many complaints. One afternoon, I saw her packing boxes into her car. She said she was moving somewhere with more respectful Neighbors I waved, she didn't wave back. After she left, things finally felt peaceful again. No more fake rules, no more threats. People started talking to each other like normal neighbors. The tension in the air disappeared, all because one person stood up to the so-called ruler of the neighborhood. Sometimes you don't have to fight loud battles. You just have to refuse to be controlled by people who think authority gives them power. And that's how I learned that, even in the quietest neighborhoods, power can corrupt the smallest hearts. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to subscribe to States of Heart for more real-life inspired stories of courage, justice, and standing up for what's right, because sometimes the heart doesn't stay silent, it fights back.